Okay, so for this deep dive, we're not starting in a boardroom or, a lab. We're setting the stage in the late 18th century.
Right.
Imagine the young United States. It's land-rich, full of ambition, but industrially.
Well, it's lagging way behind
We're
Europe.
way behind. It was a nation that was, in a way, struggling to process its own raw potential.
Exactly. The moment was just desperately ripe for some kind of disruptive genius.
And that's our focus. We're going deep into the life and work of Eli Whitney, a man whose ideas just permanently altered the American landscape.
Yeah.
And our sources make it really clear that his story is, it's a lot more complex than just a chapter in an invention textbook. It's really a powerful look at innovation's double edge. This force that can create immense progress, but also devastating, totally unexpected consequences.
So let's start with the man himself. Where did he come from?
Whitney was born in 1765 in Westborough, Massachusetts.
And the signs of that mechanical mind, they were there early on, right? Oh yeah, long before college. The story goes he wasn't just playing with tools. He was actively taking apart complex machines.
Not just out of, kids' curiosity.
No, not at all. It was to understand how they worked, their inner workings, and then figure out how to improve them. He had that engineering mindset from the start.
It's fascinating, though, that he went on to get a classical education at Yale, graduating in 1792.
It is, yeah. But the research really highlights that his true genius, it wasn't in rhetoric or Latin. It was in seeing these real-world problems, these burdens, and just instinctively knowing how to apply a technological fix.
So he arrives in Georgia after graduating, looking for a job as a tutor.
And instead, he finds the problem that would basically define his entire life.
Okay, so let's unpack this problem. Before Whitney, the American South had this huge economic paradox that was holding it back.
It really was. They had all this incredible fertile land, just perfect for farming, but they were stuck growing a very specific kind of rare, long staple cotton called Sea Island cotton.
Which was easy to clean, but hard to grow.
Exactly. The real prize, the crop that could grow almost anywhere, was upland cotton, but it was almost economically useless.
Why? What was the issue?
The seeds. The seeds stuck to the fiber so tightly that cleaning it by hand was it was painfully slow.
I read one source that said one person could clean only about 1 pound of cotton a day.
1 pound. Think about that. That kind of inefficiency meant that large-scale cotton farming just wasn't possible. It was a bottleneck that restricted the entire region's economy.
And Whitney sees this.
He sees it immediately. He recognized this wasn't just a processing issue. It was a national problem holding back prosperity.
Yeah.
And so in 1793, he builds the machine to solve it, the cotton gin.
Describe the machine itself. It was pretty simple, wasn't it?
Deceptively simple. It was an elegant piece of engineering in a simple wooden frame. He used these cylinders with wire teeth or hooks that would rotate.
Okay.
And as they spun, they pulled the clean cotton fiber through a tight metal grate.
And the grate was the key.
The grate was the key. It was just narrow enough that the sticky seeds couldn't pass through. So they were stripped from the fiber and just dropped away.
The leap in productivity was just astonishing.
I mean, what took one person a full day could now be done in an hour. It was an immediate, unprecedented jump.
And the economic effect of that.
It was explosive. Upland cotton went from being a minor crop to the engine of the global textile industry almost overnight.
Oh.
Historical records show cotton production just skyrocketing. The South was suddenly flooded with wealth, and cotton earned its famous nickname, King Cotton.
But this is where the story takes a very dark turn. This incredible economic success runs headlong into the most painful moral consequence of his invention.
And this is the core paradox of Whitney's legacy. The goal of a machine like this is often to reduce manual labor.
Right, to make things easier.
But the real-world result of the cotton gin was the exact opposite. By solving the processing bottleneck, Whitney accidentally removed the only thing holding back the cultivation and harvesting of cotton.
So if you could suddenly process way more cotton,
you needed way more land to grow it on. And crucially, you needed far, far more people to plant it and to pick it.
And that meant a surge in the demand for enslaved labor.
A dramatic surge. Slavery, which some in the Upper South had hoped might eventually fade away, was suddenly transformed. It became the indispensable, incredibly profitable engine of the whole Southern economy.
So the gin didn't just help slavery continue, it entrenched it, made it more powerful.
It cemented it. It became the financial and political bedrock of the South for the next 70 years, right up to the Civil War.
Which raises that really difficult question about responsibility, doesn't it? I mean, the inventor solves a technical problem, and in doing so, he unintentionally fuels a moral catastrophe.
And that's where the historical critique gets very sharp. He didn't invent the system, of course,
No.
but his machine created an undeniable economic mandate for its massive expansion. The sources don't suggest he intended for this to happen, but once it did, he did very little to stop the jinn's use within that system.
It's a powerful lesson.
It is. It highlights that core idea. Technology can change the world, but not always in the ways we expect or want.
And rarely in a straight line. But, okay, while the cotton gin is what made him famous or infamous, it's actually his second great innovation that became his most lasting, world-altering contribution.
This is truly his structural legacy. This is the idea that really built the modern world.
We need to shift focus to the concept he pioneered later, interchangeable parts.
Right. So before Whitney, if you think about how things were made, it was all artisanal.
Everything was custom.
Everything. A clock, a wheel, a musket. Every single component was hand-filed, custom-drilled, and fitted by a master craftsman to work only in that one specific item.
So if a tiny piece broke, you couldn't just get a replacement.
No, you needed an expert to custom make a new one from scratch. It was slow, it was expensive, and it was completely unscalable.
And Whitney runs right into this problem when he gets a huge government contract in 1798.
A massive contract. 10,000 muskets for the U.S. Army. And he realized right away that relying on individual craftsmen was never going to work at that scale.
So his solution was what?
It was radical for the time. He proposed creating specialized tools, jigs, fixtures, gauges, to make sure that every single component was manufactured to be exactly the same.
Identical.
Perfectly identical. Every trigger, every barrel, every screw.
And then there's that famous demonstration he did for government officials. I think Thomas Jefferson was there.
He was. And it was pure industrial theater. Instead of showing up with 10,000 finished muskets, he just pours a huge pile of mixed, unsorted parts onto a table.
And just starts assembling them.
Starts grabbing parts at random and rapidly assembling complete working firearms. He was showing them he hadn't just invented a product, he had created a whole new system.
A replicable system.
Exactly. He was proving you didn't need a master gunsmith to repair a weapon in the field anymore. Any soldier with a box of standard replacement parts could do it.
And when you think about the implications of that, it's just immense.
Right. It's everything. Suddenly, repairs are faster and cheaper.
Production isn't limited by the number of skilled artisans anymore.
It's limited only by the speed of the machines. And for the buyer, in this case the military, the costs just plummet because all that intensive individualized labor is gone.
If you connect this to the bigger picture, this is the foundation of the entire Industrial Revolution, isn't it?
Absolutely. Interchangeable parts laid the absolute groundwork for the assembly line, which would come to dominate manufacturing a century later.
It's the concept that allows for mass production.
On a global scale. I mean, without this fundamental idea of uniformity and standardization, every piece of technology you rely on today, your phone, your car, it just wouldn't exist in the way we know it.
So you have this visionary who completely transforms agriculture with the gin and then transforms manufacturing with standardization, which brings us to this great persistent irony of his life.
Yeah.
He created these two massive economic engines, and yet he personally struggled financially for decades.
It's a really sad part of his story. It's innovation colliding with a very weak legal system.
It all came down to the cotton gin patent, right?
Entirely. The U.S. patent system was brand new, and it just lacked any real enforcement power. Planters and other manufacturers, especially in the South, they were so desperate to cash in on King Cotton.
They just copied his design.
They just copied it.
Yeah.
Freely. And he was trying to enforce this federal patent in local state courts, where juries, often sided with the local planters over some distant Yankee inventor.
So he was stuck in lawsuits for years.
Years. Draining, expensive lawsuits. The sources detail the huge financial and psychological toll it took. He'd win an occasional ruling, but the cost of the fight meant he basically lost the financial war.
It's a classic story, isn't it? The gap between an invention's societal impact and the actual reward for the inventor.
History repeats that one a lot.
Thankfully, he did find some financial stability later with the musket contract, but he died in 1825, leaving behind an America that was just irrevocably altered by his work.
He absolutely did. He helped transform agriculture with efficiency, manufacturing with standardization. He just fundamentally accelerated the entire industrial process.
So the final synthesis of his life is clear.
I think it is. Eli Whitney was more than just an inventor of two machines. He really became this symbolic figure for innovation's double edge, the incredible power to create progress, and at the same time, the power to cause profound, unforeseen harm.
So we've traced these two powerful currents he released. The immediate tragic boom from the cotton gin, and then the long-term structural revolution from interchangeable parts. His life really forces us to ask some difficult questions.
It really does. And that is the mandate that Whitney's story leaves for us, for you listening today. Invention changes the world. That's a given. But wisdom has to guide how we use it.
Yeah?
And it leaves you with this question. Does the creator of a technology hold a responsibility for its unforeseen negative uses? Or does that responsibility fall solely on the people and the institutions who adopt and apply it?
It's a tension we're still grappling with today, isn't it? We encourage you to think about how that historical conflict between possibility and ethics applies to the powerful technologies being developed right now.
And we invite you to continue your own deep dive into the historical sources.